We will start the meeting in approximately 1 minute. We will start the meeting in approximately 1 minute. Thank you for finding a seat. What? Good evening. Good evening, trustees. Good evening, superintendent, staff, and public.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Trustees at South Bay Union School District Board of Trustees Board meeting tonight. Today is August 22. The year is 2024. The time is 6 o'clock. At this time, we'll turn to the roll call. Ms. Cooper?
Esparza,
Here.
Liker,
Here.
Lopez Aguino,
Here.
Medina,
Here.
Quinones.
Here.
Thank you.
You. I forgot to mention, as a courtesy to others and the trustees, we silence our phones. Thank you for your cooperation. We're going to move on to the highlights of our meeting tonight. And welcome up for the Pledge of Allegiance, school students Isabel Macias and Adrian Peterson, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Welcome, students.
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. A couple of our trustees will say a big thank you to our students for joining us tonight for the Pledge of Allegiance. So thank you so much. And I think we go on to our bulletin boards and take a photo with mom, dad, or caregivers if they are in the room, even teachers if you're here. We'll just take a moment. It just makes the trustees' days when we have students that are involved in our work. So thank you so much for coming, parents, caregivers, students. Move on to another highlight of our evening is school reports. I'd like to welcome up our Principal Fred Mendoza, Principal Mario Vasquez. He's going to present on Mendoza School this evening. Welcome.
Good evening, President Quinones, board members, Superintendent Espinoza, and all the South Bay family. My name is Marlo Vasquez, principal of Mendoza Elementary. Common mistake, happened all my life. So no problem, no problem. No quiere. Okay. There we go. At Mendoza, we put students first by inspiring, educating, and celebrating our successes and community diversity and providing an exceptional learning environment that empowers every student to succeed. Thank you. Okay. Oh, okay. ¿Qué hice? In an effort to improve our organizational systems, we're really focusing on improving our tier one best practices instruction in our classrooms and also by improving our student success team process. So we ensure that every student is receiving the instruction that they need to be successful and improve our student outcome. One of the areas that I'm most proud of is that we began the year fully staffed, especially in our special day classes, as we know historically it has been a challenge at Mendoza. We've expanded our communication platforms in an effort to connect all of our family, community, partners, and through Blackboard, Class Dojo, Facebook, X, which I'm admittedly new to, and Instagram. One of the big areas of focus for us at Mendoza is aligned with goal two, is to improve school climate, culture, and connectedness. I really feel that in order to tackle one of our biggest area of need, which is chronic absenteeism, we really need to provide that culture that's not only welcoming to our students, for our community, so Mendoza can become a hub for the community where everybody looks for resources and sees, hey, we're welcome here, we can support here, and we want to be part of that Mendoza family. Part of doing that is providing release time for us to improve on our already in place positive behavior intervention supports by partnering with the San Diego County of Education to build on what we already have to ensure that we're providing all the supports that students need and the challenge that due to the challenges that they face today. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I'm going too fast, I know. But also we're providing workshops to also support our families. One of the things that I see ourselves providing extra resources is providing workshops for families that are surrounded around social emotional learning, attendance, and also academics. I think our families would really benefit, especially with some of the language and some of the strategies and standards that we're facing in our classrooms. Providing them support, I think, is essential for them to be successful and ensure their student success also in the classroom. One of the big areas that we're focusing on is through the ICANN network. We're meeting weekly and we're providing a lot of strategies to help students, which is one of our areas that I feel we need most improved on and focus all our energy in. We're providing check-ins, empathy interviews. I'll talk a little bit more about our Max Out Mendoza initiative, which is something that I'm very passionate, very proud of, that developed last semester, my first semester at Mendoza, and also providing those 2x10 check-ins by all of our ICANN team, postcards, and really focusing our efforts on the students that are on the verge of becoming chronically absent. I think that's how we're gonna get more bang for our buck and ensure that that trend, the chronic absenteeism reduces. We're also having Spirit Days and a program that I'll talk a little bit more about that was called the Max, where it's another incentive program that we started during SBAC testing and where we were actually almost reached 95% attendance, which is our goal, by providing students with that incentive, the Max, that celebration of their attendance at the end of the year. So going back to the Max Out Mendoza, again, creating that positive culture where students and families feel welcome. Our chronic absenteeism was at about 45%. So how do we address that? Part of it is by providing students opportunities and families to celebrate our small victories. One of those focus areas was during SBAC testing, where we had that goal: be on time, bring your headphones, charge your device, show effort. And as a result, like I said, we almost reached 95%, 94.3. And all those students that were there were able to participate in this Max room where we had games, activities, again, a celebration. It was only 30 minutes of the instructional day, but it was something that students bought into. It created a sense of culture, school pride, it connected the community. It's something that I mentioned at every post that I put. Max Out Mendoza, we have Max Out Mendoza Mondays. It's just a really hard push to improve our chronic absenteeism. Because I believe that if they're there, we'll see the improvement in the classroom and in the test results. And connected to that, we had our first attendance assembly 2 weeks ago, and I'm proud to say that over 200 students at Mendoza had perfect attendance for the school year, and we partnered through our fourth grade teacher, Ms. Barnum, with a community partner and Islands Restaurant, and we were able to give all over 200 students a gift certificate for a free kids meal. So again, it's all those incentives that I think help the students and to build those relationships to, and I wish I would have taken a video because the buzz in the auditorium that day was electric. Our families and students and staff are really behind our initiatives surrounding around attendance. Also, in the theme of improving our community connections and providing a positive buzz, the first day of school, we had a photo booth, kind of like our kickoff event. Families and students loved it. Part of my belief in education is that we need to provide that environment when we see all those smiles and those, not only from the students, but the families where they feel welcome. And it's just an extension of our Mendoza family to theirs and the community. And I'm really proud of the fact that we're building that at Mendoza with this whole Max Out Mendoza initiative. Again, as you can see by the smiles, there's more pictures to share, but I only had so many slides. Again, in creating a positive culture and really exploring our VAPA roots. One of the gems that we have at Mendoza is Mr. Jurado and our music program. I know that they've blessed the board meetings with some of their performances, and that's something that in year 2 of being full-time at Mendoza, we are working to expand that program. It's reaching all grade levels, and we're just finding creative ways to develop, grow, and ensure that all the students at Mendoza are being a part of that throughout their instructional day. And also with the arts, creating these art units and studying different artists and really tapping into our students' creativity, exploring that and providing the opportunity throughout the day because they really have strong connections to those roots of the visual performing arts at Mendoza, and we want to make sure that we support that. And I want to touch on some of the few things for our academic excellence for all students. We are really focusing this year on improving our foundational skills in the areas of phonics, phonological awareness, and fluency. I think that in conjunction with our language acquisition tutor and our 2 instructional aides that we have, really focusing on running level literacy intervention groups, the LLI groups, targeting and being strategic about the students that are getting those tier 2 interventions is really going to help improve our test scores, ensure that our students are reading and being successful on the SBAC, which is. We're also going to be providing some professional development for some of our teachers to attend GLAD training, providing grade level release time to analyze multilingual language learner data to really focus on the groups that need the most support. And just recapping some of our historical data, we have shown some growth from 2024 to from 2023. In ELA, we had growth of 0.24. Although it's not a huge leap, we want to set our goal higher of reaching at least 5% growth, but we're growing. Nonetheless, we're growing. In math, we did show growth of 2.81% in math. Again, that's one of the areas that we want to focus on in targeting in our small group instruction. Math is definitely one of our goals that we have this year because we owe it to our students. And we're gonna make sure that we implement all the structures that so we can ensure better student outcomes. And finally, I'm really proud of this, of our multilingual learners. Our students did show 11% growth of the students who increased at least one LP level. So we are showing growth that area. 0.5% growth in the students who maintained an LP level 4. So we are showing growth. With 49% of our students are multilingual learners. To show 11% growth is something that I'm really proud of my team for doing. And finally, it goes back to this belief that I have that if you build it, they will come. That if we build a strong, community-centered program at our school, that students are going to show up to school, our chronic absenteeism is going to go down, and our test scores are going to go up. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you for coming this evening. If you have any staff here.
I'm not sure.
Hi, Mendoza. I know you're there.
Yes, they're shy.
Thank you. I'm going to open up to the floor. Trustee Esperanza, I said it wrong again.
Principal Vasquez, really good job, especially on the VAPA routes. It's really impressive. One of the things that I really like about the attendance, rewarding the students, I think is one of the areas that we need to focus more as the students continue to, improve in their educational skills and their levels. And I know it's been proved that if you're a constant student, regular, go to school from kindergarten, chances of graduating from high school, they're pretty great and to be successful in life. Also the parents' participation, amazing. I mean, it was the whole, what is that? The library that you had all this
The
parents?
auditorium.
auditorium. I mean, you can see all those parents, they're pretty good. I like to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one question. And Thank you
Yes.
for your presentation.
Thank you.
And I love those pictures. What is the platform X? Can you tell me a little?
It's
about it?
Twitter, formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, it's Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the presentation, and I was curious to hear from you, like, in the time you've been at Mendoza, what has been like your favorite part? Like, what you're most proud of so far?
The strong connection to the community, the getting a chance to meet some of the Mendoza family members and hearing the story and how that resonated with me in my own personal childhood of my grandfather and father being migrant workers, and knowing that I'm now getting an opportunity to lead a school where it used to be farmland. So to me, it really feels like destiny to be here, and I'm just going to do everything that I can in my power to lead that school to new heights academically, and to really build that cultural center where people really congregate, that the community feel that we're a resource to them, and I'm very, very proud of that.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for this awesome presentation.
Thank you.
I'm curious about when you said targeted events for students with 3 to 5 absences. What is that?
Well, it's part of the ICANN, although it is to prevent chronic absenteeism, what we're trying to target is the students before they get too many, right? So really get them in that sweet spot where, yes, they miss some school, but being strategic about focusing on efforts so they won't get to 10, they won't get to 8, and really getting the family to buy in, checking in with them, and providing them and the family supports so they understand that we're here for them. Want to make sure that it doesn't impact their academics and their growth, and just being a collective effort to make sure that it doesn't become chronic.
I appreciate that. I love that. My own child, she gets sick often, and she has trouble with breathing, and we have issues with our air quality and stuff. And so I like that, we're, like you said, before they're chronically absent. And so they're not just like, well, I'm not getting perfect attendance, so who cares, you know?
Eh,
So
eh.
I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to echo my colleagues here with everything they said. Um, I do know Mendoza, and I do know they're out there. So don't think that we don't see you. I was looking at your school site plans this weekend. I was doing some fun reading.
Yeah.
And maybe I just skipped over it, but what kind of programs do you have for after school? Do you have tutoring or do we have
Right now, actually,
clubs?
we do have some clubs. Obviously, we have boys and girls soccer for grades 3 through 6. We are partnering with Trinity Theater, Work Ed, and I believe Lab Rats is what we have so far. I'm hoping to increase that. Actually, and we have percussion with Mr. Curado. So we do have some after-school clubs, trying to motivate our staff to provide other opportunities. But as of right now, those are the programs that we are offering after school.
Well, perhaps maybe a little competition on their door. Math whiz. I'm going to come visit Mendoza, so I'm going to be looking for some doors.
Okay,
Open those doors up.
challenge accepted.
Let's see here. A big thank you to Mendoza and yourself for hosting our kickoff events. Not only for district where you had 2 and our amazing keynote speaker Consuelo Kickbush, but it was wonderful to see how Mendoza embraced the district. So I want to compliment you and your staff for welcoming all of us there. Next week we came as a community and oh my goodness, we just stuffed the bus, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just so proud of Mendoza for 1, being our largest school, and 2, being the school that we always go to for big events. And so again, thank you for hosting us at those 2 events. And with that, oh, one more thing. I love the postcard thing. I mean, we got away from that years ago, but you know, kids really like to get that postcard. And so I'm really proud that you're bringing that back. So
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you again on behalf of the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Okay, we're moving on to the second highlight of the night. Well, a third. Item B, Penn School. I'm going to recognize Principal Maria Casado, who will present on Penn. Welcome.
Is it on? It is. Good evening, executive team, board of directors, board president Cheryl Quinones, and Superintendent Espinosa. Let me see if I can get this going here. I want to start by sharing with you and our audience the amazing things that are taking place at Pence. And I want to also make sure that I mention that none of this could happen without our dedicated staff, who some of are here today. It is because of them that everything that is happening on our campus is happening. We began 24 and 25 school year all smiles, as you can see. We were excited to welcome back our students this school year. Oh, let me go back. Currently, Pence serves 409 students. 43% of our students are English language learners. 19% of our students are special ed, which includes our SDC and RSP students. We have 42.5% of our students who are English only, and 64% of our students are considered social economically disadvantaged. At Howard Pence, we have a mission, and I will not read it all to you, but I will say that our goal is to establish a solid academic and social and emotional foundation so that every child has the option to attend college if they so wish to attend college. We are a no excuses university, and we are built on 6 exceptional systems, and those include the foundation of a culture of universal achievement. We collaborate, we use our standards to align our lessons, we assess, we analyze our data, and we have interventions. some activities that are unique to being an NEU school is every year, our students start at the beginning of the year, when we welcome them back to our back to school night, we have them sign a pledge. Our parents sign it, our students sign it, and our teacher signs it. We begin every year with a scavenger hunt, and you can see some of the pictures there. And that is so that they instill pride in their school. We have college-themed classrooms. We have Blacktop Friday chants, and we have university college field trips. They last year went to San Diego State, UCSD, and USD. Some data to share with you, which I'm very proud of. In attendance, since the previous year, 22-23, we were at 35.43% chronically absent. And last year we were at 11% LL, sorry. We have also worked at having a 95% goal. That is our district goal. But we believe wholeheartedly that our students have to be in school every day in order for them to be able to learn. And so we have worked very tirelessly with our PBIS team. And last year we had a 92.26% attendance rate, which was an increase of 1.96% from the previous year at 9.156. Here are some of the things that we have done as a PBIS team. We know we have conducted empathy interviews with our parents, with our students. We've had fish bowls, and we've collected street data. And that allows us to listen to our community and share with us what motivates them to come to school. And one of the most things they enjoy is making a fool out of me and having duct taping me to a post. We also have random cotton school days where we do raffles and on a random day, and we select classrooms, and then that class gets a prize, but then an individual student who's there also gets Jack in the Box or In-N-Out, some kind of incentive they get to go home with on a daily when they're selected. We did have an incentive to start the year from July 24th to August 13th, where every student who had perfect attendance was able to participate in a splash water event. And I'm happy to report we had 251 students with perfect attendance. Here is our preliminary data. Like I said, it is preliminary. We are so excited as a staff that overall we met or exceeded our standards. We had a 6% gain from the previous year. At the beginning of 23-24, as a staff, we set ourselves a goal of 4%, and we agreed that we were going to continue to provide rigorous and differentiated instruction to all of our students using some GLAD strategies and other strategies in order to provide access to all of our students in all academic areas. Oh, sorry, here we go. In math, we also reached our goal of 4%, and we went from 9% the previous year to this year to 13%. And we are going to continue to, of course, we know that we still have room for a lot of growth, but we are dedicated to that as a staff to continue rising every year. I don't know what happened. Oh, here we go. There we go. So for our preliminary LPAC data, I wanted to just share a snapshot of what we have. And basically, you will see the domains for every area. And we know that we need to continue to focus on increasing opportunities in designated ELD in all of our domains. Additionally, this year, we did hire an instructional assistant that is working with our multilingual learners. And she is focused also on working with those students to help them be successful on that LPAC on a yearly basis so that we can continue to move them in the right direction. Our goals align with our district LCAP. And our first goal, sorry, let me turn my page here. We at PENS, we're dedicated to strengthening our community and supporting the basic needs of all of our families. As I shared, we do have some students who are just socially, economically disadvantaged. So we have with Food for Kids Backpack Program, where 25 of our families every Thursday go home with meals to get them through the weekend. We have a collaboration with South Bay Community Service for our students who need mental health services. And we also have the San Isidro Health Mobile, who is on our campus on a monthly basis, who does routine checkups for our families. Here are some of the, last year we did have an opportunity to collaborate with Vivian Moreno's office, and we provided 56 turkeys to families. And also Penn students, we had a canned food drive, and we gave them all the fixings that went with that turkey, and we also provided pies. For goal 2, we are dedicated to establishing a culture and a school environment that is welcoming and equitable. I wholeheartedly believe that this is one of the most important things that we do. Our children have to be connected, our community, our parents. I'm very passionate about making sure our kids feel welcome and that they're in a safe place when they come to our school, as well as our staff. We will continue to provide professional development in restorative practices. We had parent workshops, one of which was a UCSD Parent University. We have fish bowls, empathy interviews. We also are have PBIS and Sanford Harmony release days. We have our ICANN that focuses on all the different strategies for attendance. We have our NEU exceptional release time. And we have also, cannot forget our professional development for our classified staff, because they also are interacting with our students on a daily basis. Here are just some quick pictures of some of the things that we have done. I am also very proud to share with you that last year was the first time that we had a part-time family liaison at Pence. And in 1 year, we went from having 14 parent volunteers to 38 parent volunteers. And it's because of the support that she gives our school by reaching out to our community. We have Coffee with the Principal, which focuses on monthly workshops. We host emotional workshops by our amazing counselor, Ms. Valdivia, our amazing school psychologist, and Mr. Emerson, our behavior intervention assistant, who all contribute to that. And we also have, and we were so happy to bring back, our student council and safety protocol last school year. We are a no place for hate school. And we also had some staff members who did attend the equity conference. For goal 3, which is us being dedicated to rigorous, differentiated education through research-based strategies, we, as I mentioned earlier, hired an learning instructional assistant that is being paid with Title III funds for our multilingual learners. But in addition to that, we currently have a job posted for an additional instructional assistant to help our students who are at Promise, who need additional support. We are continuing with GLAD. We are continuing to provide resources to our students for our intervention groups and our SST team, grade level release for emotional and social emotional, and also to analyze data, because that's really critical that we're constantly doing on that. As a school, we also decided that we really needed to make sure that our kids, our babies, knew how to read and write before they got to 3rd grade. So we've gotten such a huge emphasis has been in our phonics groups. Our 1st and 2nd grade, kindergarten through 2nd grade, has been really honing in on those foundational skills for our students. And this year, our 3rd grade teacher said it's been a while since they had so many kids so high. So we know it's working, and we're really excited to see what's going to continue to happen in the new coming years. And I'm going to just end with sharing with you a few examples of what you can find on a daily basis at our school. One of the things that we've been able to take advantage of is the amazing program that Ms. Flores has teamed up with the LVIC. Last year, we had our 4th grade students that participated in that. This year, it's growing to our 5th graders. We also are going to continue to focus. We have a huge amount of teachers who support us in after-school clubs, and we're going to continue to do that for enrichment in addition to what is being done by the Boys and Girls Club. And we also have reading and math tutoring before and after school. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, thank you, and congratulations on your attendance and the growth on your test scores. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and open up to trustee Manny.
Well, Principal Preciado, thank you very much. A very good presentation, and thank you for the PANS staff for attending our board meeting. Thank you for being here.
Yes,
Really, it makes a difference, right? Get your support.
absolutely.
Uh,
Place to be.
So I was writing some notes and you actually answer it. How did you get the parents involved? I mean, to get that involved, and I know you got emotional workshops and coffee with the principal. I mean, this is pretty amazing. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I also think it's really important, as I mentioned earlier, that we have done a lot, we've taken a lot of time to interview and speak to our community. We've had those fish bowls with them. We've spoken to our parents, and we're hearing them. They want, more field trips. They want presentations at the school campus. When we had just got back over COVID, and so our campus was a little bit closed off. So we've opened our doors to them. They're welcome. They participate in the blacktop assemblies. They come, and I had my coffee with the principal last night, which I couldn't find enough seats for them to sit in. I had a full room of coffee with principal parents. So I have a great community. Our parents, really, it's a great place to be. It shows with the parents.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Janet.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Kelly?
Thank you so much. It looks like a very fun and welcoming place to be, and I appreciate all your hard work to create that community. All of you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to say congratulations and great job. Seems like it's a lot of fun at your school, and of course, the attendance is gonna keep getting better. Last time that you were here, I think you had a pie in your face.
I did.
And yeah.
I'm scared to see what's gonna happen this year, but we have
Yeah,
to
I
come up
know.
with something new and creative. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and then this year we saw you tied up to a pole.
Yep.
So-
Yes, it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, great work. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
So, wait,
Oh, you have one. I'm sorry.
I'm
the
biggest
best for
cheerleader
last.
here. Okay.
Here we go.
I think this is year 3.
It is, I'm entering my 3rd year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have truly built a great community.
Thank you.
From year 1 to now. I have goosebumps. I read your school site plan this weekend. Great opportunity reading.
Right.
Everybody should read the plans, okay? Because they're so intimate. You could really feel what you're saying, all schools, but your school and what resources that you brought. Food insecurities broke my heart. And you managed to help that community. And in response, they are coming to your school and the kids are coming to the school. And you have built a really wonderful community. So I applaud you and commend you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I do. I love what I do. Thank you very much.
All righty. Sometimes the little things touch my heart. And when we have school reports, we just love that. So thank you for coming. Number 3, changes in the agenda. At this time, trustees or executive team members may recommend changing the order of the agenda items and or request that an item from the consent calendar be placed on the discussion action section of the board meeting. The secretary will keep track of the recommendations. Please note, no new items may be added without advance public notice. Do we have any changes this evening, trustees? No pulls? Superintendent? No pulls. Thank you. On that, we'll move on to approval of the meeting agenda as presented. May I have a motion?
I would like to motion the approval of the meeting agenda.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
Thank you. We'll call for the vote.
Esparza,
So yes.
Riker,
Yes.
Lopez Aquino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. We're moving on to another highlight of our board meeting is always number 5, communication to the Board of Trustees. There is a 5-minute limit per group. Our first welcome will go to our South Bay PTA Council. Welcome.
There it is. All right, good evening, President Quinones, board members, Superintendent Espinosa, admin team, and community members. I'm glad to see so many people here tonight. Our units have been participating in back-to-school nights and running membership campaigns. If you have not joined a local PTA, please do so. If you have already joined, thank you. I have personally renewed my membership at all the sites, as I know Superintendent Espinosa has as well. At our most recent council meeting, units told me of plans for movie nights at a few of the campuses, family bingo at Emory and IB. I missed the one at IB. I was really sad. And Kona Ice coming to Oneonta. Wish Kona Ice was here tonight. I am working on getting a new board for Mendoza as their board has chosen not to continue. I have a treasurer, which is often the hardest position to fill. I am meeting with another prospective member tomorrow to see if we can fill another position, and I'm hoping to have a new board up and running very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very much. Moving on to California School Employees Association, Chapter 59. Chapter 59. Okay, we'll move on. I'd like to welcome Southwest Teachers Association, SWATA. Any representative from SWATA? No, not this evening. Thank you. Move on to our district superintendent. Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you, President Quinones. I just want to take a quick minute just to thank all the community members and staff that are here in attendance tonight. As we all know, our district is going, is faced with some very serious challenges that, that will likely change the way we do things in our district. And so being involved is the way to be heard and to give your input into what happens in our district. Our goal, of course, is not just to change our district for the sake of change. Our goal is to create a district that really is focused on meeting the needs of our students and our community. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, President Quinones.
Thank you, Superintendent, for your report this evening. Now we move on to item 6, public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments. The board will take no action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda except as authorized by law. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each non-agenda item. Speakers are not permitted to yield their time to another. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Ms. Cooper, do we have any public comments this evening?
Yes, we have 6.
All right, we'll go ahead with number 1.
Rebecca Robinson,
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, board members, superintendent. My name is Rebecca Robinson, and I am a lifelong community member of Imperial Beach and South San Diego, teacher of 24 years, and a past classified and certificated staff member of this very district. I come to you tonight as a very concerned and stressed parent due to the proposals to completely restructure all of our South-based schools. I am a middle school English teacher, and my children are currently in 1st and 3rd grade at Sunny Slope School. You need to know that we parents are experiencing a lot of daily stress over this proposal to completely restructure and close many of our schools. Communication on this has not happened since your announcement really rocked our household and our community. Improving literacy, maximizing the use of our best facilities, of course, are important, but this is not the way. Putting students and families first is the way. Declining enrollment, I feel you are making K-8 charter, independent charters and private schools sound like the better option, because if you have 2 or more children at separate schools and primary, it is an unmanageable hardship for already struggling families. Of all the things we could do that would just hand our students over to independent charters, this has got to be at the top of the list. Find a way without putting the burden on all of our families. Whatever new teaching credentials are coming down the pike, I believe you already have the expertise in your teaching staff to reach your goals without destabilizing the educational infrastructure of our entire community. My daughter's in 3rd grade, and she would now be going to a new school for 4th, likely separated from a large chunk of her classmates that she's known since kinder. And worst of all, she'd be completely separate from where her brother would be forced to attend if his closes down, as you have proposed. So they both get new schools. They won't be together. We have 2 drop-offs. We have 2 principals, 2 after-school programs, 2 PTAs, 2 back-to-school nights, and that's just for starters. You're pulling the rug out from under our children once they've gotten themselves established at schools and are finally starting to understand what school really is. And just as standards are starting to elevate and testing starts to happen and the stakes start to get higher. You're asking them to endure a transition similar to the one that adolescents go through when they go through middle and Honda High School, but they're 11 and 13 years old when they go through those and they're developmentally ready. Our kids in 3rd grade are not developmentally ready to transition to an entirely new location with an entirely new staff and to be separated from the community and security that they built at the sites that they have now. I implore you to take a giant step back, dig deeper, plan better, abolish this disruptive proposal, preserve legacy and traditions of our community schools. And if it really needs to happen, let's pilot it and make sure that our managers can manage it and it really works for our students before we upend the whole thing. Thank you for listening.
We'll call up the next person. Call up the next person. The room will come to order. Ms. Cooper, call up the next person, please.
Gina Maestre Chavez, followed by Lisa Salaya.
Okay. Please hold her time. Please hold her time. When we clap and the speaker's speaking, we can't hear up here. And it's really important that we hear the words, really. The speakers are here, they're facing you, okay? So when you clap, it's okay here. I just want to share that with you because we want to hear what you have to say. So thank you. Start the time. Go.
Okay, good evening, trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, teachers, parents, and all in attendance. My name is Gina Maestre Chavez. I am a 4-5 dual immersion combo teacher at Sunny Slope Elementary. Let me repeat that, a 4-5 combo teacher dual immersion. I am one of 2 lucky teachers to be teaching a combo class in dual immersion. That's sarcasm. Before I go into how challenging this position is, let me go over how it came to be. During the summer prior to the year starting, our student numbers showed that we had 23 4th grade, 20 5th grade, 23 6th grade students. Yes, those numbers are low, but that is common around the district and in other districts as well. Everyone is dealing with low enrollment. It was decided by the powers that be that we be combined to max out at 30 students. 5 students who had been at Sunny Slope in our DI program were forced to be overflowed to Nikolov. We sent our own kids away. In total, 17 students from our home school were sent to other schools before the school year even starting. In the meantime, our 3rd grade SEI class, Sheltered English Immersion, had 13 students enrolled and was kept open. It makes 0 sense. Now my colleague in that class is receiving overflows and is the mainstreaming hub. She has 10 alarms on her phone to deal with the schedules of students in her own class, plus the students who mainstream in from the SDC class. She is also servicing a 4th grade student since we are maxed out and cannot service this child at her grade level. This teacher is overwhelmed. Is SEI more of a priority than DI? Why was this class started and so low? As far as starting the year with a combo dual immersion class, I was told to pick a grade to teach so that it was easier for me. As a mom and a teacher with integrity, I could never do that. My job is to teach students that they're given grade level standards. I take that very seriously. I didn't want my fifth graders to see the same thing that they saw last year. The problem, though, is that nobody thought of ordering the proper materials needed when you have two fifth grade classes at one school. So I had to go to my colleague and search through her leftovers from last year to see if she had enough for me to teach my fifth graders what they needed for this year. To this day, I have yet to receive the necessary materials to teach them for the rest of the year, but I do hear that they are on order. I had 2/3 of my parents show up to back to school night, some who are here tonight. Their primary concern was that their children receive a quality education. They had lots of questions about why the district made the decision to make the upper grade classes combos. Personally, I feel like our program was sabotaged. The district looked at the situation as a business decision instead of thinking about what is best for kids. Anyone who teaches dual immersion knows that it is not an easy task teaching two languages. To add 2 grades to that, on top of that, is irresponsible. Although I have an aide for 3 hours during my language arts block, I am on my own for every other subject the rest of the day. I have been told that my union is not protecting me. They should negotiate this. From my understanding, the district and the union are not reaching an agreement when it comes to class sizes or salaries. I am a 24-year veteran in this district. I have never been asked to work so hard, but since it is in my practice to do what is best for kids, I'm doing my best and hoping for the best.
Thank you
I
so
don't
much.
think it should be up to my union. It should be up to you guys to make sure that we get what we need and we are protected.
Thank you for coming. Next up. Next up. Next up.
Lisa Salaya, followed by Angelica Goulding.
Good evening, President Quiñones, Superintendent Espinosa, trustees, administrators, and community members. My name is Lisa Salaya, and I represent California Association to Bilingual Education, Region 65. Every year for 38 years, we have had a mini conference the first weekend in November to raise funds for our scholarships for Sweetwater Union High School District students who are considering continuing their for higher education. Before the pandemic, we used to offer $50 scholarships to our 6th grade students, one 6th grade student per school from the surrounding school districts, Chula Vista Elementary School District, National, San Isidro, and South Bay. We'd like to bring that back, but we really need your help. And so we would like to ask if you send attendees to the conference, parents, paraeducators. We're going to have everything for everyone, teachers, administrators, and of course, trustees. The mini conference is on November 4th, 2024 from 8 to 12:45 and will be held again at Otay Ranch High School in Chula Vista. Our theme this year is Powerful Change Through Unity. And some examples of our workshop sessions that we have had are financial aid for college, special education, English learner education, parent and teachers working together, human rights and peace education. In the past, we have had our educators and our administrators from South Bay Union School District actually present sessions at the workshop. And so again, we welcome you to share your expertise. We look forward to your attendance. Please visit our website, www.cabe65.org. And I also have some flyers here and some bags. May I go ahead and approach the trustees to give them this? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and call up the next.
Christina Saldana.
Nice to see you.
Are you on the facilities master
Okay,
plan?
Thank you.
You wanted to speak about the facilities master plan? So it gets called when that item's on the floor. I know, I looked and saw that you wrote it down. It's my mistake.
you go. Okay. Good evening, Superintendent and members of the board. Thank you for your time. My name is Christina Saldana, and I am a homeowner on Dusty Street, active community member and mother of a 5-year-old just starting to attend Sunny Slope Elementary School. When we purchased our home in 2020, a big decision point was having a school so close for our 1-year-old son at the time. When he started TK last year, he was transferred to Oneana Elementary. I was told due to low enrollment, then this year his class was closed and he was moved to a dual immersion class, again, due to low enrollment. When I heard the school was under consideration to be closed, my first question was how many children are being transferred out of this school, bringing down enrollment even further. I even reached out to the school board and was forwarded a message that was emailed to parents. Mind you, I never received it. I was in shock. The proposal was outrageous, asking parents to split their children between 2 schools, a K to 3rd and a 4th through 6th grade elementary school. Do you have any idea what stress that will add to families with multiple children, multiple child cares, and then closing Sunny Slope? The effects that will have on this community that lifts so many protective laws for drug use at the Sunny Slope Park and registered sex offenders living within our neighborhoods. I asked the school board to consider alternatives for Sunny Slope Elementary School, which can draw more enrollment and government or private funding. Members of the school board, please consider the following. According to the California Education website, dof.ca.gov, low enrollment is a California-wide issue. Have you met with the California Education Board to see what is being done on a statewide level? Have you asked what is the state level for low enrollment before a school is closed? In California, what is the success rate for a K through 3rd grade school? According to National ALP-3center.org, there are challenges due to funding, training teachers at the level the curriculum requires. Again, I urge the board, please do not close Sunny Slope Elementary School and find an alternative for our community and families that will be greatly affected by this decision today and in the future. Thank you.
Next up.
Lisbeth Becerra.
Okay, ready. Good afternoon. My name is Lisbeth Becerra, and as most of you already know, I'm a parent of a student attending to Nestor Language Academy. Today, I decided to do a public comment just to thank Rigoberto Lara Francisco and the company Western White for doing and taking the time of doing an inspection at our school on June 28th and July 2nd. So thank you. Also wanted to go ahead and read the letter he sent me via email. It's on Spanish. Señora Becerra, recibimos su formulario de queja Williams el 18 de junio del 2024 en relación con su
One
preocupación.
moment, please. Do we have a translator?
I requested a translator on the form.
Have one. Okay. No. Thank you, Superintendent. So if you need translation, pick up the device in the back, correct? Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, we have one. We have one. Thank you, Pamela.
En español. En español, okay. So this is for the letter that he sent me, okay? So, recibimos el formulario de quejas de Williams. Okay. Ready?
Okay, so they received a Williams complaint on June 18th.
En relación con la preocupación de los estados de los salones de clase portátiles de la Academia de Idiomas de Néstor.
Referring to your concerns regarding the portable classrooms at Nestor Language Academy.
Nuestro equipo de instalaciones dirigido por el director Francisco Franco
Our team, facilities team, directed by Director Francisco Franco,
evaluó el estado de los portátiles utilizando la herramienta de inspección de instalaciones FIT.
he evaluated the state of the portables or the condition of the portables using the FIT tool, which is the facilities inspection tool that Williams uses.
El 28 de junio y el 2 de julio.
On the 28th of June and the 2nd of July, 2024.
En el cual el resultado de la evaluación fue un puntuaje de 90.03.
And it received an evaluation score of 90.03%, which is a
Calificación. Bien.
calificación, a grade or a rating of bien, good.
Una calificación en este rango se define como
So a grading in this range defines the following.
la escuela se mantiene en un buen estado con una serie de deficiencias no críticas observadas.
So this school is maintained in good status with a few deficiencies that are not críticas, observed critical deficiencies.
Estas deficiencias están aisladas y o son el resultado de un desgaste menor o un proceso de mitigación.
So any of these findings are isolated or aisladas and are a result of something small or are in the process of being fixed.
Adicionalmente a nuestra inspección,
In addition to the inspection,
y se hizo una inspección a las 35 aulas portátiles y se contrató a Western White.
in addition, they inspected the 35 portables with the FIT
With the company.
by Westberg and White. They contracted with the company Westberg and White
Para-
Incorporated
para servicios de arquitectura profesional.
for our professional architectural services.
La evaluación se llevó a cabo el 1 de julio,
This
1 de agosto,
This happened on August 1st, 2024.
y se miró las condiciones arquitectónicas, los acabados exteriores e interiores,
So they looked at the architectural conditions of the outside and the inside,
condiciones estructurales de cada portátil,
the structure, the condition of the structure of each portable,
condiciones mecánicas y de plomería de las unidades instaladas en cada portátil.
the condition and the working of the air filtration system. Is that the
Air conditioning.
air conditioning?
And
In the air conditioning units that are installed in each portable
Condiciones eléctricas de cada portátil.
and the electrical condition of each portable, the electrical panels.
La evaluación inicial de los edificios concluyó que todos los salones de las clases portátiles son actualmente seguros para el personal y estudiantes.
So this evaluation, the initial evaluation of all of these buildings, found that all of the classrooms, these portable classrooms are actually safe for people and for students or staff and
Staff.
students.
Thank you very much.
So,
To close up, I just want to mention that it's important to keep up with the maintenance of our portable classrooms so they can last us longer. And we're going to keep a close attention to figure out when will be a good time to replace them. We will work with our principal, Jaime Gonzalez, to see what other areas we need to improve. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one.
Angelica Goulding.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Espinosa, families, and fellow teachers. My name is Angelica Golding. I currently have a 1-2 at Emory Elementary School. And I'd like to start by let me just read this. What motivated you as a student when you were in elementary school? What sparked your love for learning? Those were questions I asked myself many years ago before digging the first hole to plant and cultivate the garden at Emory. I knew at that moment, 17 years ago, that my students, our Emory students, needed some inspiration, and I was willing to literally go above and beyond to fulfill this passion. Our school had very little to boast in regards to beautification, and it was time. One plant at a time, weekends, hours after school, early hours before school, giving up my lunchtime and free time to commit to my passion. Soon kids were asking, Mrs. Golding, what are you doing? It's my passion project for all students, I replied. And guess what? They were excited and especially enthused to help themselves. One by one, students stayed after school, gave up recess and lunch recess to collaborate with this project. Nobody ever complained. Soon, we received a grant from Home Depot and later from a local church. The garden had blossomed and plants were thriving, but most importantly, students were eager to walk the garden, observe, plant, work the land, water, and learn. Students from middle school and high school soon would also come back and do volunteer work in the garden. The pandemic almost killed our spirits and our garden too. But I was not going to let that happen. I continued to volunteer with help from my own family and our principals at the time that helped us develop an after-school program to bring our garden back to life again. Students were thrilled to help. Soon, their parents got involved too. Community building, which is exactly what we want in our school. Last year, Home Depot finally approved a grant that I had been bugging them for years. They built us a shaded area, tables and benches. They provided mulch, tools, and plants. Our space is gorgeous now, inviting, almost park-like. Kids go to observe the monarch butterfly's life cycle, cultivate tomatoes, figs, or just observe like a scientist, or read a book in nature. Students look forward to the garden on a regular basis. They crave a peaceful environment. They're curious. They want to make predictions. And I am begging you to please keep this garden open. I'm going to cut it short, I guess. My time's up.
Thank you so much.
But I want to piggyback on what Principal Vasquez said.
We really need
If
to
you
call
build
you at
it,
3.
they will come. Just don't take it away. Give that opportunity to our
Thank
families.
you again.
And thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to item 7, discussion and action items. Educational leadership. I'd like to welcome up and recognize Assistant Superintendent Pamela Riker Montiel, who will introduce the item. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, President Quinones, Superintendent Espinosa, Board of Trustees, and our community who are still with us this evening. Tonight we have a local control and accountability plan update for you. So I know that we've been presenting almost every month for the past couple of years about the LCAP, but just to refresh ourselves as we start this new school year, we do have a new LCAP. It is a 3-year plan that describes the goals, actions, services, and expenditures to support positive student outcomes that address state and local priorities. The LCAP provides an opportunity for local educational agencies, LEAs, as well as in our case, we have Nestor and Imperial Beach Charter School are their own LEAs to share their stories of how, what, and why programs and services are selected to meet their local needs. And this is from the California Department of Education. And as you heard this evening in our 2 school reports, then the schools that are not charters align their school plans for student achievement with the goals in our LCAP. Again, a little bit of background, all school districts are required to produce an LCAP, and the main purpose was to demonstrate how we are using our local control funding formula funds and how they are linked to meeting the needs of students. Each LCAP must address the 8 state priorities and incorporate specific metrics. And so as we went through the development process, that was shared with the Board of Trustees, as well as our public, how we identified those priorities, the goals, as well as the action steps with our educational partners. And then again, that emphasis on the importance of educational partner review and input. So we are currently in our 2024-2027 LCAP. It became effective on July 1st. It is in the final review with the San Diego County Office of Education. So although the Board of Trustees have already approved the plan, the county reviewed it before approval. There were some edits that were done. Then it was approved, and now they look at it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that everything meets standards that are set forth by the California Department of Education. I have already received notification of a few minor revisions, and I will bring those back to you in September so that you are aware of what was revised for that final upload. It does not require approval, but as I did last year, I will come before you and share what those revisions. And sometimes it's a missed check mark here or a missed word there. So I will bring that back in September. Just a reminder of our goals. Goal 1 is around effective organizational systems. As you saw the school presentations this evening, their action steps or their actions or strategies might be a little bit different, and that's okay. These are the actions 1.1 through 1.6 for the district. And then the schools took that same goal and the statement and then applied what they were doing at their school sites. The same with goal 2, it's district and school climate, culture, and connectedness. You can see that we have actions 2.1 through 2.6 listed for this school year. And finally, our goal 3 around academic excellence for all students. And this is where you really see the standards-based instruction, academic intervention. And then this evening, what you will receive is reports on student progress monitoring, because we will be taking a look at our preliminary LPAC and CAS data. So as mentioned, tonight's update will include local measures. So our LCAP does have several local measures, one being teacher assignment monitoring outcome called TAMO, and that's the tool that they use. Our summer intersession update, and then preliminary CAS data and preliminary LPAC data. So at this point, I would like to ask that Directors Chavez and Flores join me at the podium, because they will be giving these updates this evening.
Welcome.
Good evening, President Quinones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, Executive Team, and Community. So tonight we're going to present the 2022-23 Teaching Assignment Monitoring Outcomes, known as TAMO, and this is regarding full-time equivalent staff. You might be wondering why we are presenting 22-23 data. So the CDE, they recently released this data, and the report was not given in time in order for us to be able to present it for the priority 1 local indicator. So they have asked in that third bullet, since the 22-23 TAMO data was unavailable at the time that LEAs were reporting their local indicator data to the governing board, districts must report the 22-23 TAMO data at the next available meeting of the governing board, which is August 22nd, 2024. And this data was released by CDE about 2 weeks ago. So here you will see the teaching assignments. They have categories of total teaching, full-time equivalency, the numbers of staff that are at each school site. Then we have clear, out of field, intern, ineffective, and incomplete. So what preliminary or clear means is that staff has met the requirements, but they are maybe still completing the induction program known as BITSA. When we have out of field, that means that the individual has what's called a GLAP, General Education Limited Assignment Permit. That means, for example, that the individual is maybe on an emergency credential and we need to fill the spot. So they are in that position, fulfilling that position, but at the same time, they're going to school to continue receiving the credits that they need. We also have a certain percentage that we see here for interns. So this is where an intern is actually in a program and they hold an intern credential. They're getting paid. So it's kind of like student teaching, except before we didn't used to get paid for student teaching. So now as an intern, then the individual is able to work while they're still attending classes. Short-term staff permits would be in the column of ineffective, means that they don't have a credential. They don't hold the minimum credential, but they can teach for 1 year. And this is called a once in a lifetime permit. So they can only have this opportunity to teach for 1 year. And that is hoping that they're going to go back to school to get their credential at the end of the 1 year. And then for incomplete, what this means is that there are, doesn't necessarily mean that they're incomplete. It means that they do have the assignment that is appropriate to their credential. However, for example, the role of a TOSA or administrators at the district level, or if we have a coordinator, that means that yes, they are in the appropriate assignment, but they're not necessarily tied to a specific classroom. And then here you see the additional information for every school site. And all of this data is also inputted through our human resources department, and then that gets reported to the state. And then this is how the state then generates this report. And this report is also tied to the dashboard data. And here we see the district in comparison to San Diego County and then statewide as well. Any questions?
Very interesting data here. Thank you. I think this is the first time we've had this kind of report. So thank you. We'll go ahead and open up to the trustees. Trustee Manny.
No, I think you did a pretty good job. Even though I'm still new at this, I'm trying to review everything, but it's as the months go along and as you're providing all the data, I think it's going to help me, to realize, such a great job you're doing on these numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this information up.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all of this. Can you remind me again, what the out of field column?
So out of field is that someone that can have an emergency credential, or they're given, it's called a GLAP. So General Education Limited Assignment Permit. So for example, if someone has a single subject credential, but they're teaching a math class and they don't necessarily have a math credential, but they're going to school in order to receive a specialization in math, then they're given the GLAP. So it's just temporary until they're able to complete the math classes and the assignments in order for them to be fully credentialed in that field.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just looking that ours is higher in our district compared to San Diego or statewide, but I appreciate that we're giving our employees the opportunity to keep teaching while they're working on those specific
This is more related to our middle school staff and then our VAPA STEM team that whenever they don't have the specific requirements, we do have this committee on special assignment. And then our middle school teachers are going to school to receive that specialization that they need.
I was looking for the middle school data. It's not here.
No. In some areas, they are grouped with the district, and then in other areas, they're considered their own LEA, but that report hasn't been shared.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about the teachers that are able to come and be paid while they're doing their student teaching.
Mhm.
I've been reading about that for the past couple of years. So thank you, Superintendent, for bringing that aboard and helping our schools in such a way that we bring in new teachers and hopefully they stay with us. So thank you for your report this evening.
You're welcome. So moving on to, this is our summer intersession summary. So we had summer intersession with our extended learning staff, certificated staff, classified staff, and also community partners. And it was held on June 10th through the 28th at Mendoza and Nicola. We had a total of 320 students attended Mendoza and 298 attended Nicola. They were provided breakfast, lunch, snack, and then also supper with their snack as well. We also are continuing our partnership with the Sweetwater Union High School District, and the students are able to grades 1st through 8th grade attend the summer program, which I heard that they enjoyed. Not only the students, but also the staff at Mar Vista High School as well. We had here 36 staff members at Mendoza Elementary from the certificated staff that participated, and 30 of our own certificated staff participated at Nicola. We also had our classified staff, which was 33 at Mendoza and 19 at Nicola. Our community partners are listed there, and then also our Boys and Girls Club helped with the logistics and organization of the program. And we have some pictures here of our students making that splash during their swim program at the Mar Vista High School swimming pool. Here we see the swim program staff, the students receiving a little orientation about safety, water safety, before they were able to go into the pool for some lessons and also some fun activities. And we have here some artists. We have a quote by Georgia O'Keeffe. I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way, things I had no words for. And here we have a total enrollment for Mendoza and Nicola. We had a total of 616 students that attended our summer program at both school sites. Any questions?
I will open up to the trustees.
So on this program, so this is a district-wide, it's just a specific schools, or how does that work?
So all of our intercession programs in the extended learning program are open to all students, and all students are able to participate when they register, and it's free for all students and all schools, all students.
Okay, thank you.
Janet?
You're welcome.
Nick? Nope. Kelly? Come on, Kelly.
So do students, like, so for swimming, was that like during the entire session, when, intersession, or is that just like specific weeks or?
Mhm. It was by grade level. So an entire grade level would go to Mar Vista High School. And it was Monday through Friday. So the entire grade level would go. And then at Mar Vista High School, they would see like all first grade during 1 week, or a combination. It was the first and second would go to a week. Then it was third and fourth would go a second week. So then that way at Mar Vista High School, they could also differentiate their lessons. And it wasn't that we had a first grader attending with an eighth grader, but it was more a grade span that we're attending.
And so, in that case, are families able to just sign up for the week of that pertains to
Of
their
swim?
grade for swimming versus the entire intersession?
Yes, we actually did have a couple of families that just wanted their students to participate in the swim program.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That was good to know. People in the auditorium, we can't hear up here. Thank you. Director Chavez, I am really pleased that we had staff participate in our intercession program. I know that was a concern. And so I'm glad to hear that our teachers and our classified joined in that work and made it special for our students. And it looks like you had big numbers, over 500. And I know a big draw is the pool.
Yes.
Our kids don't get to go to the ocean. They don't have a pool. And I'm glad that we have pictures here. And the shortest one here, it says swim program staff. The shortest one in there is my granddaughter, who is in Cal State LA right now. So through this program, this group of children, which are our children from IB Charter, last year went and all got certified, lifeguard certified. And so through that work, we had our swim program last year. We have it this year. We're going forward. But the most important thing is these children here are going off to college and they can work at the pool as a lifeguard. So it's the work goes on. Okay. And with our students in the pool, I think I drove by there a couple of times and they're laughing and they're playing and splashing. So kudos to our intercession program planners and staff and transportation, because without transportation, we're not going anywhere. So thank you.
Yes, it definitely takes different departments, different individuals, certificated, classified, our ELOP team. They're putting on a different type of school experience in a short amount of time. So kudos to everyone that's involved in creating these programs for our students.
Have somebody out, food service, because without them.
Yes.
Okay, we're hungry.
Yep.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
We're moving back to Assistant Superintendent Pamela Recker-Montiel, right?
Actually, we're going to shift now into our preliminary data reports. And so we will have one report on CAS data by Director Chavez and one report on our LPAC data by Director Flores.
Thank you.
So first, we're going to start by going over, so this is preliminary data from the California reporting system, and this is from last year's data. So overall, the preliminary for language arts for 3rd through 8th grade, we have 41% of students that are below standard, 45% of our students 3rd through 8th grade are near standard, and we have 13% of our students that are above standard. For math, the overall preliminary for all of our students in 3rd through 8th grade, we have 52% of our students that are below standard, 37% are near standard, and 10% are above standard. This is broken down by grade level. So again, this is all preliminary data for our English language arts. But we can see here that we have our 3rd grade with our highest amount of percentage of students that are below standard. in comparison to our seventh grade, which has the highest amount of students that are above standard for language arts. When we look at math, our overall preliminary data broken down by grade levels, it fluctuates, but there is a percentage that ranges from 32 to 37 to 39% to 44%. So it ranges in the same type of span that our students are near standard. We have seventh grade here with the highest percentage of above standard at 14%. And then our highest grade levels that have below standard is our sixth grade with fifth grade that is at a close second with 58% of students that are below standards. Then we broke down the language arts into two components. So we have reading and listening, and then also writing and research. So here for the reading and listening, we have every student, we have a large group of students that are near standard. So we have like third grade, 45%. Fourth grade, we have 50%. So half of our students in third through eighth grade that are nearing that standard. In fifth grade, we're at 49%. Sixth grade, we're at 41. Again, our seventh graders, half of our seventh graders are near the standard. And then eighth grade, we have a close 47% that are near standard. When we look at writing and research, this is the ability to be able to read research from multiple sources and use critical thinking skills to analyze what they're reading, to be able to synthesize information, which is critical in the area of language arts. And here we see that there's been an increase in percentages for below standard, with third grade at the highest percentage of 51%. And then the other grade levels for fourth, fifth, and sixth are in the same range of 42, 43%. Then we have our eighth graders at 40%, but then our seventh graders have the lowest in the amount of students that are below standard for the writing and research area. Now, when we look at math, math is also broken up into concepts and procedures, and then also the mathematical practices. So if we look at this data, we talk about concepts and procedures. When you teach math, it's about teaching the concrete, the conceptual understanding. Then you move on to the representation phase of it. And then the last piece is abstract. The abstract is where you have the concepts and the procedures where it's very much arithmetic. Here we have high percentages of students in all grade levels, with seventh grade being the lowest, that are below standard. And then we have, again, percentages with third and fourth grade above 40%, fifth and sixth grade are nearing the same percentages between 33 and 34 who are near standard. So we have a good amount of students that are close to meeting the expectations for concepts and procedures, but we also do large amount of our student population for third through eighth grade that are still below standards in math. Now, when we look at the mathematical practices, so this is the application piece. Students, when they are encountered with the CASP mathematical questions, when they talk about how the CASP is testing them on the mathematical practices, the reason that you see higher percentages here of all of our students that are below standard is because when they're being assessed in the CASP, now they have to do the application piece. It's not only the arithmetic or the equation that they have to solve, but they have to start making sense of problems. They have to construct arguments in relation to math. They need to be able to use the tool strategically. They need to be able to create models. They need to look for repeated reasoning. And then the CASP also assesses their visual analysis of graphing. So different types of bar graphs, different types of charts, and then being able to apply that information to what it is that they're being asked to solve. There is an extensive amount of problem solving that the CASP also ties into the mathematical practices, being able to convert the words into equations and equations into words, and then being able to explain their reasoning with claims or statements and have evidence to support that. Questions?
We'll open up to the trustees. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yes, thank you. Mathematical practices, that's a lot for our little ones. I'm curious, about our scores compared to scores of similar districts and how this guides what our teachers use and practice to teach this. Because I know that for most parents, that's a lot, you know, especially when you have multiple children, and these are not ways that we ourselves learned. So how do we so I guess my question is, do we compare our scores to other scores, taking into consideration the rigor that we have and the learning loss from COVID and all that to guide us in how we teach the children?
So in terms of us being able to compare our preliminary data to other schools, we don't have that data yet. Because what first happens is this, in the California reporting system, each individual district has their own preliminary data. There is going to come a point when the California dashboard there's a public release. And then at that point, we're able to share our district data and then also be able to share other districts in comparison to our district as well. And before the California dashboard data is released, it's actually not allowed for any other district to present any information that hasn't been publicly shared on a public platform until that dashboard is released, because we do have a private preview. Every district has a private preview that there's about a week where we have access to that dashboard. We're able to access our own district data on that dashboard. You are able to see other scores from other districts in that private preview, but we receive a very direct letter from CDE that says this is only for private viewing, this is not public, and please do, and you're able to share your data with the school board, but at this point, it's just private. We're not able to disclose or share any other district's data until there's that public release that everyone is able to then see everyone's scores and reports. You're welcome.
So I was looking at all the charts, right? And most of them, if not all, add up to 99%. And I see we have like below standard, near standard, and above standard. Does that mean that 1% of the students are at standard?
Not necessarily. So this is how the California reporting system presents the information, just the preliminary standard. Once we receive the California dashboard results, then we'll be able to see the students that met or exceeded standards. So when we present the California school dashboard, they will be able to add an additional column for us to be able to see the percentage of our students that actually met standard.
Okay, because I was very concerning thinking that near standard is also below standard.
And the way that the California reporting system presents here is that it is nearing the meeting of the standard. So they're close, but they're not yet there. When the California school dashboard gets presented, then we will see below standard, but you'll also see students that met and exceeded. And then that's where we'll be able to see the different like colors of the rainbow where we have different students, if they're meeting or exceeding, then if they're exceeding, we'll see like green, for example. If they're meeting, we'll see blue. So we'll see the dashboard that will have different colors to indicate their performance, but it is broken down in more detail for the dashboard.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna focus on the positive right now. The above standard groups. In that, when we built our LCAP and our tier 1, 2, 3 systems, and I've been reading a lot about this, about enrichment academics, like we used to have GATE. So what are we doing for students that are above standards in this report?
So I think we are starting that work. We started that work last school year in terms of our language arts scope and sequence. So I think when we continued that work this school year, we've had several release days. It's been a total of 5 release days, and then we're working on 2 more for our staff, certificated staff to come together. And there's certain grade level representatives, and we worked with our labor relations partners to create the committees for every grade level to develop that language arts scope and sequence. So I'm going to talk about language arts first, and then I'll talk about math. So the language arts scope and sequence, it's going to be specifically standards based, because when we are teaching specifically the standard, what is it that the grade level individual student needs to test, then we're ensuring that all of our teaching, all of our instruction is being able to target that specific standard. When we look at standards, we're able to see the grade level below and the grade level above. So then if we see that a student is already meeting that standard that they're supposed to be teaching, for example, in 4th grade, and we're able to see, because we're focused on the standard when we're teaching that instruction, that laser focus, then we're able to see, is the student did not master the 3rd grade standard of language arts, so I need to do my differentiated instruction to target that, or the student has mastered 4th grade standard, I can then go up and see how much more in depth can I teach the student for that particular 4th grade standard. And then that's where the differentiation comes in with our staff, is that then they're able to go deeper into the standard so that they have a strong foundational understanding of that standard for language arts. When we talk about math, we have a scope and sequence, the units of study that was developed over 7 years ago. And that's the same thinking that we have around math, is specifically we're focusing on the standard, you're teaching the standard, because when we teach that mathematical standard, it's about teaching the concrete first so that they understand conceptually what it is that they're doing with math. And then you move on to the representation phase. Are they able to explain it? And then can they move to the abstract phase? So when we're talking about math and we have students that in math, for example, that the student is in 4th grade and they're looking at a standard for math that they did not master, or they might still be in that concrete, trying to conceptually understand that math standard, then I'm going to look to see what skill in math it is that I need to target, so that then when I teach that 4th grade math standard, then the student is able to understand at a more conceptual level and be able to apply that mathematical concept to that specific standard. And then again, staff is able to differentiate if students need extra support and other specific math standards, then that's where the small group instruction comes in, and being able to target specifically the lesson that they're teaching, because it's very targeted to the students that are at grade level, below grade level, that just need that extra support, or students that have exceeded that standard but can apply it to a more rigorous, in-depth, more complex ability.
Perfect. Is all that information shared at parent conference?
So our staff does an excellent job in being able to meet during back to school night with families and having parent conferences. We do, our principals also encourage to have 100% of participation of parent conferences. So if they're not able to meet with them during like back to school night, then they have other opportunities to make sure that we are, that staff has the opportunity to be able to communicate with families. Our principals, I've also done like coffee with the principals to help our families understand how classroom teachers instruct or in what areas can families support with doing some activities at home, because I think it's definitely a partnership and being able to teach our families this is one activity that you can do at home to support. It doesn't matter what language ability you have. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your language ability, or doesn't matter if you didn't like math, for example. But just by asking simple questions when you're at the supermarket, if you have $20 and you can only spend $20, what can you buy? Different activities like that will help to strengthen the relationships between our schools and our homes, but also then give the opportunity for the student to be able to apply that knowledge. And then this way, the parent can also ask the teachers if there's additional activities that they can do to support their child with their academics.
Perfect. I think it's real important, because we've worked on attendance. This year, we're working on instruction. And I think it's real important that parents come together with the teacher and understand that it's not just the teacher, it's home. And our teachers need to reinforce that with parents and caregivers, because we need to bring our test scores up. There's no doubt about that. Our seniors just graduated, they can't write a paragraph, and it breaks my heart. They're our children, our students. So we really need some really hard work here. I'm just sharing that. And teachers work very hard, but the parents need to come together and make it a point that their child receives the best that that teacher has to offer. So thank you for your report.
I just wanted to add as well, back to the question about differentiation, is that is also the power of the school plan for student achievement. So as you've been reading the school plans, just recognizing that when a school does a needs assessment, that's part of what they're assessing. How are the students at that particular school doing? Whether it's with their preliminary data or their informal data, formative assessments, and what areas do they need to focus on? So whether it is in enrichment for particular students, or whether it's in intervention, or whether it's both. And then the idea of having family activities that go along with that. I've seen a big increase in schools that have been doing family nights, whether it is coffee with the principal, but also it can be a family literacy night or a math night. And particularly a couple of our schools are focused on math, math talks, math activities, things that we can do to extend the math instruction for all students.
Thank you. We got one more, Kelly.
Thank you. So I'm curious, when you say that there's staff like looking at the data to see which standards need to be focused on a little bit more, where they're lacking, when you say staff, is that are teachers individually, or do they have support? Because or like at for example, I work in National City as an impact teacher, and we well, I'm just saying, like, anyhow. So I have a language arts specialist that helps create the groups and focus on the standards. Like, she assesses the data and then creates the groups based on teacher recommendations and stuff like that. So I guess I'm asking, are we supporting our teachers by having other, like TOSAs or someone, help analyze the data, help create the groups based on recommendation and doing all of that? Or is that something that we're having our teachers do on their own?
So that's a very complex question, because there's a lot embedded in that question. And
Sorry.
one of the things that I would like to just remind us all is that it's our first year of implementation of iReady for our assessment, for progress monitoring, as well as diagnosing as where students are at this particular time in the school year. So that is going to be a new tool for all of us, and it has an abundance of reports that not only will classroom teachers be able to utilize, but support staff. So when we think of our learning acceleration tutors who are doing a lot of the intervention, and particularly should be working with our students that are going through the yellow folder or SST process, then they will have access to all sorts of reports identifying what is missing. Is it the foundational skills, phonics instruction, phonemic awareness? Is it vocabulary development? Is it reading comprehension? So we will have access to that. When we're talking about grade level teams coming together and looking at standards, we're really talking about the work that's being done on the scope and sequence currently to finalize those units, to get those out to teachers so that they can utilize them in their planning, not only individually, yes, but in their grade level teams, in their PLCs, both teacher-led and led by their school administrator. Right, so we're going to move on to LPAC.
Perfect. Thank you.
We've got some more data for you. Good evening, President Quiñones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, exec team and community. As you've noticed tonight, we've hyper-focused on an important aspect of our educational mission, and that's the progress of all of our students. But for tonight, in my data presentation, I'm going to be providing you with progress of and proficiency levels for our emergent bilinguals. As you know, language acquisition is more than just words. It's the support that we provide our students is really about empowering our scholars so that they fully participate and succeed academically and socially. This data represents the progress and opportunity for our students who are navigating the complexities of learning English as a second language and also mastering grade level content. As a reminder, the data before you is preliminary data from SERS, which is what Director Chavez has already shared with you. This first slide gives you data on the overall LPAC for performance for all of our students K through 8th grade. You'll see that 60% of our students are in that 2 to 3, that's somewhat to moderately developed. Our overall LPAC performance scores are made up of oral written scores and oral language scores, and written language scores. On this slide, you'll see the overall performance levels. The next 2 slides are by grades. This is our primary grade levels, kinder through 2nd. You'll see here that in 1st grade, we have about 53% of 1st graders that scored in a level 1. That's the beginning stages of language proficiency. In the 2nd slide, we have grade levels 3rd through 8th. And you'll notice that if from 4th through 8th grade, about an average of 35% of our students in 4th through 8th grade are in the moderately developing stages of language, which is an overall 3 on the LPAC. And 19% of our scholars in grades 4 through 8 are in the well-developed. So those are the well-developed is represented by the blue bars on the data. On the graphs, excuse me. The next piece of disaggregated data, I shared with you at the beginning stages of this presentation that the LPAC is made up of 2 composite scores. One is the oral language and the second one is the written oral language and written language. The oral language is made up of listening and speaking skills. The written language is made up of reading and writing skills. So as you can see in this chart, some of the highest support is in our written language, which is made up of reading and writing. About 72% of our students are scoring a level 1 or a level 2, which are the beginning stages of language acquisition. And 27% of our students are scoring in 3 or 4 in the written language component, which is represented in red. Now, this piece of data includes the overall domain averages. The LPAC, when our students take the LPAC, they take 4 different parts of the test, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So this data here represents our overall scores, K through 8, or where our students are currently at regarding listening, speaking, reading, and writing. As you can see, the writing area is one of the highest needs. The next piece of data that I brought forth to you was the preliminary MathCASP data. Director Chavez presented on the overall CASP, but I wanted to bring back the math portion and compare it with English language acquisition by English language acquisition status. So it's the English only compared to our multilingual learner comparison. In this chart, you'll see that 68% of our multilingual learners have not met the standard in mathematics in comparison to their EOs. So we have a higher number of multilingual learners performing at a level 1 as compared to their English only counterparts. And then on the other side, to my right of the graph, you'll see that we have fewer multilingual learners meeting or exceeding the math standards in comparison to their EO counterparts. In the next slide, I wanted to add another typology, another group comparison. So now I decided to add English only, multilingual learners, and students who have been reclassified so that we can see those comparisons across these 3 typologies. Here you'll see that 40%, and this is math, we're still continuing with math, 40% of our redesignated fluent English proficient students are meeting standards or exceeding standards in comparison to our multilingual learners and EOs. You'll see that in standard not met, we have fewer students that are RFEPs because they're in levels 2, 3s, and 4. So they're nearing the standard, meeting, and exceeding. Now we'll go into ELA CAS comparison. Again, we started here with comparing multilingual learners to their EO counterparts. Once again, you'll see that there are fewer multilingual learners. I'm sorry, there are more multilingual learners at the standard not met in comparison to their EO counterparts, and a fewer percentage of multilingual learners meeting standard or exceeding standard. And then the last piece of data, again, I added that 3rd typology, which is our RFEP students, and it's showing their progress in comparison to multilingual learners and EOs. And it's no surprise that they're also performing higher than multilingual learners and EOs. Approximately 59% are meeting and exceeding standards in ELA. And if I recall, when we go back to the math preliminary data that compared MLs, EOs, and RFEPs, we had about 40% of redesignated students meeting or exceeding standards. Questions?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Trustee Janet?
I do have a question. Of course. But I don't know if I should refer it to you or Pam, but it's okay if you don't have a response to me, you could bring it back later.
Okay.
Based on students' data, what supports are being offered to English learners before and after being identified as long-term English learner? What support is being provided for English learners to be able to reclassify?
So I heard two parts to your question.
Yeah.
So the first one I heard was what supports are being provided for long-term English learners?
Before they become a long-term English learner.
Okay, so those are our at-risk students. So it's a great question. We just rolled out to our principals a language academy opportunity idea to support our students who are at risk. Our students who are at risk of becoming a long-term English learners are students who have been in the United States with the identifier of an EL for 4 years. Okay, so that's about 4th grade. Okay, when you become an at-risk. Long-term English learners, that turns into roughly around 6th grade and up. So you're absolutely right. We need to be proactive and not reactive. So the purpose of this language academy is targets exactly that. Our students who are at risk and our long-term English learners. We can't forget about either group. So the purpose of this long-term of this language academy is to provide supports in speaking, reading, writing, and listening, because that's what they need to get reclassified. That's one of the components to get reclassified, which is scoring a 4 above in the LPAC or a 3 or above in the alternate LPAC if you're duly identified. So the proposal is that Language Academy runs about 9 weeks. We want to leverage the teacher leaders who are in the classroom and know our students better than anyone else to target those skills. Our goal is that once the principal team reaches out to their teachers and they seek interest, then once we know who these teacher leaders are, then our department would provide professional development to the teachers on the LPAC interims to support the students that are at risk and long-term English learners in the areas of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. In addition to that, our district has a phenomenal platform called Elevation. This is our 2nd year using it, and they have phenomenal strategies that can target specific components of language acquisition. And we know that our teachers need more professional development. So it is our goal to also provide that PD to the teachers who would provide this language academy support after school.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I said a lot.
Looking at the ELA scores and how our RFEP students are at the top, it really does show how being bilingual is a superpower.
Absolutely.
And I love it.
Yes,
So thank you for sharing all this data.
absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for the information and good luck with the Language Academy. I hope all principals buy in and teachers participate, because without that, the program's not going to work. So I encourage principals to invite your teachers in and develop a plan at school-wide, because our children, the children that come in, Consuelo, I mean, I'm going to remember that later the rest of my life. Okay. Our teachers are faced with, language barriers at all levels, either by student or parent. And so working to that end is a lot of work. So I want to recognize that work, teachers, and thank you. And thank you for your work.
Yeah, just like to recognize Ashley. It's a lot of work and a really good presentation. I really like that. You can tell pretty much, the basis of, who's doing what and, what needs help. And I think that with the new program, I think it's going to be a great tool for the students and the teachers as well.
Thank you. I'm going to do a little shameless plug because that's what I do, but we are going to have our first, from our department, from the ME department, our first parent workshop at Mendoza Elementary on Saturday, September 7th from 9 a.m. to 11:30, where we do talk about the reclassification process. We're going to have teacher leaders presenting. We have directors presenting. We have principals presenting. We have great support from our PTA who donated 300 books in English and Spanish that we want to give out. We're providing breakfast, a small breakfast for our families, supervision for our students, because we don't want that to be a barrier. So I say that out to the internet. Come on out on Saturday, September 7th. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that concludes our LCAP update. I know it was a dense one this evening. Next month, I will come back simply with the slight revisions to the LCAP and keep it simple. But in case you have any other general questions. Okay, all right, thank
It
you.
was perfect, Pamela, perfect. It was long, but you know, we had questions, so that's important. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item B. Again, we'll recognize Director Susie Chavez, and we'll conduct a public hearing after she presents the item. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendation, it is respectfully requested that the superintendent recommend that the Board of Trustees open a public hearing and adopt and ratify Resolution 24-003 regarding sufficiency of instructional materials.
I opened the public meeting at 8:05. Are there any public comments?
No.
No public comments. Thank you. I'll close the public meeting, 8:05 and a half. Okay, moving on to
Thank
our
you.
task at hand would be to adopt resolution 24-003 regarding sufficiency of instructional materials. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt resolution 24-003 regarding sufficient of instructional materials.
You, Rebecca?
I will second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Kelly?
Just regarding, having sufficient materials and understanding that we had a 4 or 5 combo teacher today say that she didn't have, accessible, she's waiting for something to, come to her, be ordered or something. I hope that we're able to have communication within, like, between all of our schools to have supplies quickly given to our teachers who are our combo classes. They're being dismantled and having to change classes last minute. So I hope that we have a sense of urgency to get them transitioning so quickly that we can support them in that, because I've been in those classrooms, not in our district, but in other districts, helping those teachers, and it is a lot of work. So I hope that we make it a priority to work together within the district to give them supplies that they don't even know they need yet. Because when they're transitioning from one grade to another and having a combo, it's a lot.
Absolutely. Our
Thank you.
IMRT team works very closely with each other, and whenever they do need materials or curriculum, they ask between themselves if they have any extra. I know that due to declining enrollment, we do have some schools that has more material than others, and other schools that have like increased a grade level. So then between the IMRT team, they collaborate and they ask each other for materials. And then if there's a new grade level that was created, then they reach out to our educational technician at the district office, and then she will then immediately put in the order. You're welcome.
Yeah, I had the same concern, but I'm reading our resolution and it says by the 8th week. We're only in what, week 4? I think so.
Yeah.
Week 4. Yeah, 20 days, week 4. So our resolution does say 8 weeks, but 8 weeks is a long time. And a long time for teachers to wait. And I know the process that the MRTs provide the teachers with the supplies, the books, the consumables. I know that process there, but that's only one person. And if you have a staff of 18, and you're having library day, okay, that's a lot of work. So I think we need to look at that a little bit closer in the future, Superintendent, if our declining enrollment affects combos, the grade levels, that we give extra labor hours to our MRTs to make sure that our teachers have the supplies they need on day 1. So with that, I'll call for the vote. Oh, wait, go.
Yeah, just to elaborate, I concur with my fellow board members. Anything we can do to support our teachers, I think is the core of this education. And if we make it sooner, anything they need, we gotta support.
Absolutely. And I will reach out to the principal to ensure that that 4th-5 combo teacher has what she needs. And then also our Emory department will also reach out to see what dual immersion resources the teacher is referring to.
Thank you. We'll call for the vote.
And I can just give a quick update. I know that that material has arrived and they're just waiting to unpack it and get it to the teacher.
Well, maybe we can get some extra labor hours in that storage room to unpack it. We can't wait, Superintendent. Thank you.
They can do whatever they need to do.
Thank you. On that note, we'll call for the vote.
Esparza,
That's a yes.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Sorry, Kelly, it's going to be a long one tonight. Business Services, item C, Facilities Master Plan Update. Let's recognize Assistant Superintendent Rigo Lara. And our mission tonight will be to approve the updated Facilities Master Plan. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, President Quinones, trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, staff and community. Tonight, I'll be presenting an update to our facilities master plan. A little bit of background, our facilities master plan started, the development of the plan started in the 22-23 school year. That was about close to a year process. On May 30th of 2023, there was a special board meeting where the draft was presented to you. At the end of that board meeting, there was board direction. It was a long list, but a couple of the main items that the board directed us to do is number one was develop a plan to remove portables. Since then, we have developed a plan and we've started that process. Some do remain, but we have removed a lot of them. We were asked to be strategic when investing funds to our facilities. And also, if we had already started talking about the possibility of school consolidation then, if there was ever to be a vacant lot or a school that was closed, to begin to explore alternative uses of those sites. Since then, since early of 2024, around January, we contracted with Dahlin architectural firm for a peer review process. And the most important thing that we wanted in that process, I mean, the plan, it was reformatted with updated site pictures, diagrams, and tables, and I'm sure you've seen that. It's a lot easier to read. And before we go public with the document and post it, we think this is a better document for our community and for our staff to be able to look at and refer to. But more importantly is really the construction cost, the cost estimator. It was really important to get that updated. Over a 2-year period, costs have changed, and this peer review process allowed us to get a more accurate picture of the cost of our projects. So what is a facilities master plan? It's a long-term vision, and it's a plan for the development, renovation, maintenance of our facilities district-wide. It's a roadmap, a very long roadmap from 1 year, to the next 10, 15 years. That allows us to be strategic when we're prioritizing our projects. The key components of a facility master plan, the big part is the facilities condition assessment, and there's 4 ratings. Earlier this evening, a community member talked about ratings relevant to a fit. When I discuss these ratings, they're completely different. As far as when we hear the words poor, fair, good, or excellent. And there's kind of a little cheat sheet of what each means. And an excellent is assigned to buildings that are equivalent to new buildings. A rating of good is assigned to a building with recent improvements that may need some minor renovations. A fair rating is assigned to buildings that need some intermediate renovations. And poor is assigned to buildings that they need the major work. Major construction is needed there, major modernization. These ratings can be assigned overall to a site in general, but also specific buildings within a site can have different ratings. And you'll see that in some of the examples that I share in a little bit. Surveys were conducted during the facilities master plan development, future enrollment analysis, the demographic analysis is also part of it. Also space planning. And when I say space planning, it's really analyzing how our space is currently used and envisioning how it can be different depending on the needs of our site. So that could be an open space of land there where a new building can go there, right? Or removing a building from a certain part of a site and then relocating, again, being strategic. Why would that be needed? That's all part of the analysis there. And I mentioned this, the cost estimator, really looking at what would current costs be for projects now, but also looking at future costs, knowing that everything increases over time. And we know that we can't do everything we want at once. So really looking at long-term costs to certain projects. Here's an example of a school site in the facilities condition assessment. The legend is at the bottom. But this is an example of an excellent site. Makes sense. VIP Village, I believe was built just a few years ago. Well, I don't believe, I know. Just a few years ago. And this is what we should expect for all our schools. What we're able to do, yes, is different, but we should always have that long-term vision of what we should expect for every school site. I mentioned that overall, a school may have a rating or a facility, excuse me. There may be a different color that you see there with a poor rating. That's what remained from the original VIP, and I believe it's a place structure, so that needs to be replaced, and a shade structure needs to go there as well. But overall, you can see the blue. This is an excellent facility. Next, I'm giving you an example of Nikolov Elementary, where there's various ratings, and that's really because there's used to be two schools and built at different times. So the south side, the south building at Nikolov has an overall rating of good, and that was just recently modernized. And when I mean recently, it is in the last 10 years. Some of the portables there that you see, and within the plan, when you're looking at the document, there are certain portables that have been removed that you will still see them there, but some have been removed. So I'm just adding that X there just so as a visual. It's either been moved or will be moved soon. And there you see a rating of fair there at Nikolov. So a school that doesn't have a one rating overall, but it has different parts, different ratings throughout the facility. Here we have Nestor Language Academy. And when I'm, and again, mentioning that these ratings are different, the way we calculate these ratings are different than the previous report that you heard during public comments. Here you see the regular buildings at fair, and then a lot of the portables in poor, not necessarily poor condition, but poor as in they're gonna need some work very soon. So again, going back that these are the way we rate these is different. Here we have Central Elementary as an example. And again, you can see the different ratings, the different letters there. You can refer to the legend. But as we've talked about it, and you heard already from previous presentations, that Central Elementary is one that requires major work. And again, when we're thinking about how we're investing our funds and being strategic, we really need to look at these type of assessments. And when we're talking about investing, we're usually talking about our school sites. And of course, we want to make sure we are providing the best learning environments at our schools for our teachers, for our staff, our classified staff, our parents, and of course, our students. But let's not forget that our staff are also located in other buildings. And here at the maintenance transportation, it has an overall rating of poor. So we also have to consider, although our funding and our priority, and we're really looking at what we can do in our classrooms and our school sites, let's not forget that our staff also, we need to look at where our staff's located in certain departments and look at prioritizing some of that work there as well. Again, just an example here. So I talked about the important part of facilities master plan. Well, there's a lot of important parts, but really what's important to look at is the cost estimator. And here you have it listed by site. What I added there is the overall ratings. So if you see the words under the rating column in color, that means that's a good amount of part of the school site has that rating. But if you see two, so let's look at Bayside or Berry as an example, and there's Emory, Pence, and Sunny Slope. Overall, school-wide, it's a rating of good. But there may be certain buildings, and usually they're portables that are in poor condition or have a poor rating, if that makes sense. So if you're looking at Bayside, it may be a couple of buildings that are under poor condition, but overall a good rating, if that makes sense. If you only see one rating at a school site, that's generally the entire school site has that rating as an overall rating. Another one, Oneonta, fair, but a couple of buildings that, not a couple, but kind of a half and half, fair and poor buildings throughout. The total estimated cost, if we were to do everything in that master plan, those are the estimated costs. Now, when we're thinking about a facilities master plan, it is our greatest hope, our greatest wish. Does not mean, you know, if we were to, if I was to be asked, well, we're going to do all of this, but really it comes down to the dollars that we have access to. And in a little bit, I'll talk about the November election and the two bonds that we hope to have passed. Even then, we will never have enough to do what we want to do. But what this allows us to do is look at it, look at the plan, and prioritize what are some of the major things we want to do at each site. This gives us kind of that menu of what's possible at every site. The last column there is scope 0. So there's different scope 0 all the way to 4, 5. But scope 0 are the immediate renovations that need to happen, the immediate needs, whether it's fire, life, roofs that need to be fixed immediately, anything that's safety related are under the scope 0 costs. So you'll see that most of those costs are not as high as if you were to look at other costs in other areas. That's usually because the other costs are kind of those major projects, like possibly a new building, new NPR, things like that. And that central cost there, the total, it's a scope 0 cost only. So the idea there was that there's so much needed at Central at the scope 0 level that it doesn't have additional costs in the other areas, because a decision will have to be made if these $45 million would only go to a certain point at Central, where not necessarily it's a full modernization project. So next steps, California does not have an ongoing dedicated stream of funding to repair schools, school buildings. We rely on state and local bonds, which is why you see there that in the November election, not only are we pursuing 2 bonds there, but the state of California is also has a bond, Proposition 2, $10 billion, billion with a B, but that would be matching funds that districts would have to kind of fight for. We are being proactive right now, and we're in the process of applying and taking advantage of those funds if and when they were to become available. But that is dependent on not only on us getting in line, there will be other districts ahead of us as far as taking that funding before us. But it's all dependent on whether our bonds pass or that the state bond passes in November. So again, we are dependent on that. We do not have other, we could use unrestricted funds, but that is the last thing we would ever want to do. And it would never be able to do what we want to do as far as what you see in that facilities master plan. The school facility program, so that's the state program. It's a 60-40 split. So as an example is if we were to do a $10 million project, the state would cover $6 million. We would cover $4 million. So you see how important it is for not only for these bonds to pass, but that we get in line, that we apply, and that we get accepted to be provided these matching funds. Currently, we have eligibility of approximately $121.4 million. That's a very good amount, where the state would cover $73 million. And the district would cover $48.6 million. So again, the state fund program, it would really help us out if we would all come to fruition. The CalShape program, we have plumbing enhancements that we'll be making. Unfortunately, the CalShape program has been suspended. So when we were here a few months ago talking about the eligibility and what we were awarded, the HVAC, now the plumbing piece, it will be, they will follow through with that. Unfortunately, right now, the HVAC component and the funding that we were eligible for and awarded is suspended at this time. So we hope the state revisits and provides that funding in the future. The Superintendent's Advisory Committee, as you know, is making recommendations which impacts the future of our facilities. And finally, prioritizing projects is a big next step. And that's working with you, the board, and the board providing direction and helping us decide those next steps as far as what we want to do throughout our school district and at our site. So really, the board is important in helping us provide that direction as we move forward. And that's it, and I would be happy to take any questions before you take action.
Thank you, Superintendent Rigo. So as I'm reviewing all the school structures and every single school that we have, I look at it, every single one. There are some schools that are made of brick, others are made of blocks and really outdated. So as I'm looking at the facility master plan, when was that implemented? Because I mean, those should have been taken care of or maintenance wise or replaced or repaired years back. Now we have all these issues just come up just out of nowhere.
Yeah, so a facilities master plan, it's recommended that a district update it every 5 to 10 years. The one we started working on in 22, it had been a very long time. I
2008.
I remember over 10 years.
Yeah.
So it was a very old plan, and now I can't speak to that plan and how decisions were made or what and wasn't made. What I can speak to is right now we have a plan that after the board takes action on and hopefully approves, that it will be our, like I mentioned earlier, our roadmap and helping us take those next steps in making those improvements that you speak about.
Yeah, I mean, and I know it's an assessment, but I mean, we have such a beautiful community, and if we want to provide quality school, quality education, we want to have some quality, buildings. We want to be competing with everybody else. I want people to say, I went to Sunny Slope, I went to Penn School, I went to, Nestor. I want people to feel proud. The students that say, you know what, that's my school, right? And that's, I know I just shocked that, as you're going through it, and thank you so much for sharing this. And I know it's an assessment, but it is really an eye opener.
And remember the funding, what's needed. And I'm sure as you reviewed the plan, you saw the projected estimated costs of some of the possible projects and what I showed today. So that is also a reason why everything that's there just can't just happen. But I'm with you there as far as the needed improvements and providing the best learning environment for our kids and our staff.
Yeah, so, and I don't want to take too much time, but, I want the teachers to say, you know what, this is my classroom. I want to be able to teach my students, feel like home-like, kind of. But thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for the maps. They're more understandable and detailed. Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Trustee Esparza, for asking that question of when the last time one of these assessments was done. Because I think it's important for the community to understand, like, it seems like all of the sudden we're making all of these crazy changes and we want all this stuff to happen or change. But we're just trying to be proactive versus reactive. And it's been a long time since any of this has been looked at in this way. So, and the last time it wasn't this group who was helping. We weren't here. So thank you for everybody to do the work to be proactive versus reactive. And so just to clarify, when we approve this this plan, it's again a roadmap. It's suggestions. It's an assessment. We're just saying we accept this document and the information that we are receiving, but it's not solidifying any of these plans specifically.
No, no, we
Right?
have to.
For example, like the Emery Garden was brought to my attention even before today. And I can see, and when I look at the facilities master plan, it's not even labeled in here in the before or after that it even exists. So without people coming to bring that to our attention, we would not know that that is even there. So when we make these choices, I hope that we're given the information again, like this is what we're looking at. We talk to the community. This is how it's going to affect our school. And when it comes to things like the garden, the plant life, that cleans our air. We have air problems here in South Bay. So keeping that that alive and thriving and encouraging it in all of our schools to have more green, even if it's cheaper to cut down trees and not have to maintain them. Really, it's the health, the mental and physical health of our families and our students to have as much green life growing.
Yeah.
So again, just to clarify, this is not saying this is what we're going to do. It's just helping us to prioritize when the time comes to make any further decisions.
We're prioritizing with budget.
Yes.
Right? We're looking at what we have available. And of course, when it comes to safety and immediate needs, that's a go.
Of course.
We're doing that. But as far as when we're looking at a long-term plan and some major projects and possibly, upgraded buildings, major modernization, that's where we really look at and work with you and our community on what happens next.
And I could see how the fencing would be a safety issue. And based on what I see here for Emery, where I'm assuming the garden is, because it's not labeled there, is now part of the warehouse. It will become part of the warehouse. It's going to cut off that little, I mean, I've been to the campus. I can picture where that little chunk is, but it's removing that from Emery and putting it on the warehouse, right? The fencing, the new fencing.
And I don't have that in front of me,
Okay.
so, but I can picture kind of the area you're referring to. Again, the facility master plans don't usually have a garden as in the legend. Because there's other gardens throughout the other schools, so you probably won't see those. So yeah, they're not identified in the master plan as there. That's not to say just because we didn't label them, that means we're eliminating all gardens throughout the school district. So just want to let you know that that's not necessarily what that may mean as you're looking at the map.
Thank you.
And I can add to that. There currently there aren't any plans to eliminate any gardens across our district. So let me just be clear about that. Gardens are really a maintenance issue, right? And they have really been, in gardens like at Emory, where we have a teacher, and she's gone now, but we have a teacher who's very dedicated to that garden. It looks really good, right? There's a lot of work that's being done there. Like she shared, she has, volunteers that come in and help. Versus, for example, the garden at Mendoza, where the teacher that was maintaining that garden, I think, moved somewhere else. And now that garden is actually a safety issue at Mendoza. So really, the master plan doesn't eliminate gardens at all. That's not in anybody's plan. But what we need to do, and we've been working with our maintenance crew, our landscaping crew as well, and our principals, we need to make sure that they're maintained, number one, and that they're not creating safety issues. So, for example, I think I know what you're referring to on the Emory side. If that garden, if that space was being used for something different, if that was the decision, then that garden would be relocated. It wouldn't be eliminated. It would just be relocated if that was the plan. But again, just to verify, when the board accepts the facilities master plan, it does not mean that everything in the facilities master plan is going to happen. right? Everything in the facilities master plan is, above $700 million. We do not have that. We do not have any hope of having $700 million anytime soon. I believe the very necessary updates that need to happen are about $180 million. If both of our bonds pass, we will probably stop there. But it will come back to the board and the board will prioritize what needs to happen. So I just want to make sure that the board understands. This is not in any way, shape, or form saying, yes, we're doing all these projects. No, this is saying these are our needs. And then depending on the funding, the board will prioritize what needs get done first.
I just wanted to make a comment. I didn't know that the facilities master plan wasn't revised since like over 20 years. So thank you for the question, Trustee Esparza. But it really highlights like the neglect that has happened in this district for decades when it comes to investing into our schools, right? And having the community's input. And for example, like looking at Nicola, it almost looks like I'm looking like at a small prison. There's not one grass area. There's some trees, but these kids don't even have a play field, right? And thinking that this is a school that's closest to the border, where the majority of the kids, I think, would love to have a soccer field, and right now they can't even do that, right? And like, I think that that's what was something that is very exciting about like the board that we have now, right? That's made up of, 4 out of the 5 of us are current parents in the district. No, wait, and we have one very special person, right? Who's like a lifelong South Bay Union person, right? A teacher, a grandparent. So we're really invested in this community. And like, I think most of us, if not all of us, ran because we wanted to make sure that there was community engagement, right? Parent engagement. The parents were part of the decision-making process. So as we move forward and making all these big and tough decisions, I hope that it's something that we can all do together as a community, keeping in mind that what we're trying to do is be able to create like, the best district possible for the students and the families that live here. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is by making sure that all of the parents that have been coming to these meetings continue to come, continue to bring more parents, right? We need to have all the schools, not just the schools that are being impacted, the parents from the schools, right, here participating. So I just wanted to make that comment. My son goes to Nicola. I've asked his friends, if you could have one thing that would be better or that would make your school better, they said a soccer field, right?
I remember because I was there before and I think that's what everybody told me. And yes, it's big blacktop back there. But I believe if you look at the recommended master plan, it's in the big plan for Nikolov. It is asking for some type of green grass field there. So again, balancing budgets with priorities at every site. I do want to say though, I don't think our staff has neglected the schools as far as maintaining them to the best of the ability with the dollars that they have available. I think they've done a great job with maintaining them and making the needed improvements, such as replacing roofs, and you saw the work that happened at Emory a few years ago. But it can only go so far. So we're hoping we can do better and more in the next couple of years.
Rico, excellent work. It was my.
So I didn't
weekend-
create that.
My
just I
weekend
work
reading.
with somebody.
Okay.
Just
I do this stuff.
Yeah.
Again, thank you. It was very in-depth and each school seemed to have a voice there. And in recognizing that, I was looking at it and I said, there's acreage listed on these schools. So I pulled out that map and I started highlighting the acreage. And so I can tell you who was identified. It was Bayside, Berry, and Westview. The other schools weren't identified as any acreage. So I'm just sharing. I'm just
Okay.
sharing. So then I went on, my next task was to, of course, read. And so as I was reading, I'm thinking, we don't talk about the exterior of the school. Okay, so I read some things about the brick. Okay, and Franco shared that he had been sealing something in our Friday update. We don't know what he was sealing, but I know he was sealing something. So was he sealing the bricks?
I'm pretty sure that's what he was referring to. It's a protective sealant.
Yeah.
That helps with the weather, rain, makes it, it prolongs the life.
Well, our bricks are beautiful.
Yes,
Maintenance.
he gave me the
beautiful.
thumbs up. Yes, that's what it was.
Especially at Emory, because they're like almost 100 years old. So, but I did have a concern about Nestor. We have a picture of Nestor's handball wall, and that brick is like discolored red. It's a photo. I know it's a photo. And then below, it's like white-ish and has the ball court there. So I don't know what's going on around there with that, but I was concerned because of the discoloration that.
This is a handball court. I'm sorry.
Yeah, on the wall.
Okay.
It's pictured here.
Okay.
So again, the exterior wasn't talked about in the plan. So it's just like, okay, well, we know we get painted sometimes, like IB charter just got painted and somebody else got painted. And so we don't talk about that in this plan. And the interior work. Our teachers, for the last 15 years, our school sites have not had high dusting or low dusting or anything in between. Not new carpets, not paint, not anything in the classrooms. The teachers are getting pretty desperate when they go and paint their room purple. They're desperate. Other schools are painting their learning centers blue, yellow, and green happy colors. This is something I think maintenance should really look at and see if there's dollars there. Should be dollars there that we start working school by school as we did before, taking 2 a year in the summer and going in and high dusting and cobweb cleaning, have the teachers pack their stuff in the closet there. And we had a working crew of 6 classified come in with a man like Franco who supervised, and we stripped that school down in 3 weeks and refreshed the walls, painted walls and bathrooms. And so we need to get back to that routine, preventive, and the carpets. Our kids have allergies. Our teachers have allergies. There's this pandemic thing. It's all over the place. So we need to get back to that maintenance. Okay, and that's my first ask about this plan, that be first. Okay.
Noted.
Making the classroom and this teacher, school staff, student environment clean and safe. The finishing, they're talking about finishing. I don't know if that's the tiles that they mentioned in here in the classroom. Is that tiles? When I say finishing?
The finishings of the interior of the rooms.
That's where we need to go starting this summer. We need to look at our charter schools as well. They've been neglected as well as our other schools. And I know the funding is different for charter schools, but we need to work with our charter principals and look at their funding so their facilities are upgraded as well as our other schools that are not charters.
And I'd like to add for some minor work, construction work, they do provide the funding. But when it comes to major renovations at the charter schools, our bond dollars would be used at the charters for major projects.
So painting a classroom is a major project.
painting a classroom, it would not be considered a major. I'm talking just big because you mentioned their funding. I just wanted to clarify that when it comes to our bond dollars and major projects, they would go to the charters.
Carpet. And Mendoza's carpet, it's hard. Honestly, it's really hard to invite company to Mendoza's auditorium, knowing that carpet's 25 years old and the stage. Really hard to invite people in and look at our auditorium like that. So that's a hot spot for me. But I thank you for the report. The portables are coming out. I see empty spaces at the schools. It's wonderful. I just can't wait to see what the school does with those empty spaces. And the fact that some portables remain, when are those going to be pulled out?
We have a plan. Some are being removed in the near future. There's also some that due to space, they're still being used as classrooms or as needed. We do work with the principals as far as if a space is being used, can they be moved somewhere else? And this was prior to the start of the school year, and that allowed us to remove the portables that are currently being removed. As far as if they're being used and needed at this time, we are holding off until we develop a different path for those portables.
So if we have empty classrooms and we have portables in use, certainly they should be put in an empty classroom.
Again, every site is different and there's specific needs at each site, but I would say yes. If there's empty classrooms, they should be with, and kids are in portables, I can see that kids should be in those classrooms. Again, every site has different needs, so I'm not familiar with any portable that might have kids and why that's the reason, as opposed to being inside a regular classroom. So that could be happening throughout the district. But again, when we're thinking about a plan of removal of the portables, it does take some time.
Yeah.
And it's a process that we hope to complete. We started a year ago, so it may be a 1 to 3 year plan to get them removed.
Well, excellent work in pulling those out. I mean, it's quite a job. And, kudos to the maintenance department that, I don't know if you brought in a big crusher or what you did, but it was like gone. But, they utilizing these portable classrooms when there's empty classrooms in a school, children need to be in the classroom, the brick and mortar classrooms. I'm hearing a lot about special ed in portable classrooms. We need to put them in a brick and mortar class, period. That's the high priority too for me. So, and overall, I'll come to a conclusion here. I would like to see a 5-year plan with a 10-year life cycle. So, when you come back to us, maybe look at that kind of cycle to bring us together.
An initial
before-
5-year plan and then
and a 10 years
a
of
10-year
life
plan.
cycle. And that way, if we're not here in 10 years and our superintendents mosey on down the road, superintendents have done this, come in and, restructure this whole thing and spend as they will. So if we got something like this, we all sign off on, our superintendent signs off on, we can hold the next superintendent's feet to fire. I would like that.
And this is a great tool for the board to reference if you're ever asked why. Why do we need certain things? Do schools really need it when it comes to all this extra funding that we hope to have? You have a really good reference point there, and you're able to speak on the needs of our district when it comes to facilities.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? No? Good. So we'll see you.
In 5 years for the next facilities master plan.
No. Aren't you going to come back and say, here we go?
Well, I hope we have the funding to be able to say this is our plan. Yes.
So like if the bonds pass, then you'll come back and say, we got to sell this many bonds, right?
Then yes,
Okay.
I know the 2 bonds total $125 million, but as a reminder, we don't get all that up front.
Right.
We issue over several years. And I believe the first issuance or the first couple in the first 2 to 3 years is projected to be about 30 million. Again, I would have to look back at our notes. But yes, we would issue as soon as we can and then begin looking at some upgrades.
Perfect. And the interest rate is going down, so gotta pass the bonds. And that way, maybe we'll see you in March or April to approve that.
Yes.
Good, trustees? All right. Thank you so much. Oh, one more. No, okay. Thank you. And we have to do something, right?
We need a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get back to my work here.
I motion to approve the facilities master plan.
Oh, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, we've already talked about it. Call for the vote.
Esparza,
Yes.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
You. Thank you for your work. Thank you, maintenance, landscape. We're moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed in the consent calendar will be enacted in one motion in the form of listed below. Prior to approval of the meeting agenda, there was an opportunity to request placing consent calendar items in the discussion action section of the board meeting. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the board vote. The superintendent and staff recommended approval on all consent calendar items unless otherwise noted. May I have a motion to approve?
I move the approved all items on the consent calendar as listed, including the superintendent's recommendations for denial or approval of leave of absence.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Manny, second by trustee Jose. Call for the vote.
Esparza,
Yes.
Liker,
Yes.
Lopez Aguino,
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Oh, we're getting down to the end here. Item 9, future agenda items. At this time, each trustee may suggest one topic for a future board meeting. Trustees, do you have any suggestions for a topic for a future board meeting? Danny?
All right, so I would like to request to get a presentation of AI. I know it's everybody's new technology nowadays. So I'd like to know how would it benefit our teachers and our students and the advantages and the disadvantages of it.
Any others? Jose?
I would like to request a presentation regarding Proposition 58. And, like what we're doing to make sure parents have this information.
No. Jenna?
This could be a Friday update or a presentation, however it is. Over the last few years, we've been tracking legal fees. I would like to know what are we spending legal fees on and the areas that is being spent on.
And a Friday update. Perfect. Thank you, Superintendent. Any others? I don't know, we've been working the superintendent, but we'll keep working it. Okay, we'll go on to, I'd like to recognize our superintendent at this time, and he will provide us on a direction on next steps on future agenda items from the July 25th, 2024 regular board meeting. Thank you, Superintendent.
All right, thank you, President Quinones. There were 3 requests at our last meeting that are now on the agenda for discussion and to see if we're going to move forward with presenting something. But I'll go through quickly the 3 requests. I believe 2 of them may have already been taken care of. Trustee Esparza requested a presentation on school safety and security. Trustee Medina requested information in the weekly update on blue screen protectors for students, which I believe was sent in the Friday update. And then Trustee Quinones requested a presentation on the calendar of communication with the public. So I believe the first 2 have been taken care of, and I, defer to the board members to either, say they were satisfied or continue a conversation about that. If they have been taken care of, then the last one is trustee Quinones requesting the calendar for communication for the public.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? Yes, satisfied. All my questions were answered, and I don't have any further.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on from there, Superintendent. How about trustee Medina?
I did get the information. I will talk a little bit about it in my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna pull that too as completed, right, Janet? Okay. So here I go with my request for a presentation on the calendar for communications with the public. I asked for a year calendar presentation. Since we now have a public officer designated for such tasks, who also responds to news requests, paper requests. So I'd like to know what the district has planned for this communication piece with the community in the next year. We need to kick off, trustees, we really need to kick off, selling our district and putting out some good information in the local paper. We do have information that comes in the local paper. And as I shared with the superintendent, when I read it, I don't know who wrote it. So I don't know who wrote it. The public won't know who wrote it. Okay. So, I propose that one of the things that we do going forward is we have a superintendent corner with their superintendent's picture on it. And because the paper comes out every week. So that's a plan. So I would request that, a calendar be written up, drawn up, presented to us trustees at a meeting, and share with us a proposal of the next year's communication strategies. Can I have some support on that? Oh, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Thank you, Superintendent. We'll get together and
Yes.
do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. Thank you, trustees. Okay, moving on to communication from the Board of Trustees. We have a 3-minute limit per trustee. Sorry, Kelly, it's almost that time. Good.
All right, so this is the time when I would like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Pamela Richard and Rigo Lara for the excellent presentation. Director Susie Chavez, outstanding. Thank you for your presentation. Principal Vasquez and Principal Preciado, really, really happy with the outcome. It's outstanding. One of the most things that I really love is parent participation. I think it's the most important thing for me, for any school. I would like to thank also for everybody that attended the board's meeting today. I was gonna have a Sunny Slope because that's where my kids went to school, and they were left. So, but I know they're probably watching me, but I'd like to thank the teachers, all the staff that are here, or they're not here. But anyway, and also like to let you know that I'll be running for this seat in this November 5th. So trying to be here. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank students Isabella Marcias and Adrian Peterson for leading our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mendoza and Pence, for your presentations. And thank you, staff, for your time and dedication on presenting to us and answering questions. I did get a response for the anti-glare blue protection screens. I just want community to know they're available with the MRTs if your students need them. And the new Chromebooks already have a nighttime glare. So if you guys don't know how to access it, you could go into the MRTs at your school sites. Thank you for the information.
I also wanted to mention that I'm really excited about the work that's happening both at Mendoza and Pence. It's really great to see two pretty new principals, making great strides forward. And I'm excited to see continue to see your schools thrive. I did want to mention that at the last meeting, I had to run out a bit early because I had to catch a flight to a convening that I had the privilege of attending. Thanks to my role here at the school board, I attended a convention for an organization called Local Progress that's made up of elected officials from throughout the country who have more of like progressive values. And I got to spend a weekend hearing from people from all throughout the country about the challenges that they face in different states. There was tons of, I think the school board members were the largest group in representation that day. And it's really interesting to learn more about the challenges people are facing in other places, and got to learn, bounce ideas off one another. Also, yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Hope you all have a great evening, and thank you for staying here this whole time.
Wrong button, sorry. Thank you everyone for all of the work that you put into making South Bay as awesome as it can possibly be. So at the beginning of the month, Trustee Esparza, President Quinones, and myself, we attended the California Latino School Board Association Unity Summit. It's always such a gift to be able to hear from other school districts and learn from other school board members, the challenges that they're facing, to even be able to give ourselves a pat on the back for being proactive versus reactive when we see what happens when action isn't taken for 20-some years. So I got to learn about community schools more, which I now understand could look absolutely different at each one of our schools, but really focusing on meeting the needs of our families and our students and getting them to be critical thinkers and how they can support the community and its longevity. Like, it's not just right now learning this, but how are they going to be empowered to continue the work of bettering our community? So that was the highlight of my month, was attending that Unity Summit. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was a unity conference because out of 55,000 school board members, not all of them were there. Like the California School Board Association conference once a year at the end of November. This is not like that. It was more member friendly, and where everybody knew your name. Even if they didn't know your name when you walked through the door, they knew it by night. I did wear my South Bay Union School District jacket every minute. And so they knew we were in the room. Okay. Only one board member wore their colors. And so our board members want their colors too, Superintendent. So it's really important. Okay. And so the classes that I took, sometimes they say, oh, you're following me. Oh, I see you, So one class I took was about negotiations and the board responsibility about negotiations and what happens if this, that, or the other happens. So that was really interesting. I learned different things there. So it wasn't negotiations 101 like you normally would have at the conference at the end of November. It was different. So I took some information back and thought about it, and which we'll share at another time. And so one of the other classes was about communication, Superintendent. And it's funny that I asked for that last month. So I went to that class, and it was given, the superintendent was there from Visalia, and he is a 3-year superintendent, and he brought his board members with him, president, clerk, vice president. This school district has many, many awards. They won the Golden Gavel this year. So I paid attention. And so through that workshop, I came away with an understanding that and a reminder, it's all about our policy. And what is our policy? So of course I went back to my room and checked our policy. So we're going to do some work around that. And because our schools district needs to be promoted in a positive light and throughout our community. And so that'll come forward too. But that was a lot of hard work and fun. And I've never been to a conference like that in my life before. So thank you, taxpayers. It was worth the go. And lastly, my granddaughter, we took her up to college last Wednesday. We had, a sad week, but she called last night and she wants to come home. So what Dad said, no, she can't come home. But I want to honor our superintendent too for his little one going to college too. So it's Cal State Chico against Cal State LA. So stay tuned. But thank you so much for the work tonight. I know it's late. It's 9:05 and our staff is very tired. Thank you, everyone. Everyone. It's not one hand, it's many. On that note, I'll adjourn. I need a margarita.